This is the Instigators with Andrew Peters and Craig Rebay.
Let's go, let's get it on! Oh, Peters!
Oh, he's got a fight. Thornton and Rebay are exchanging punches.
And everybody pairing up at center, and now Peters starts teeing off on Emery. The captain strikes gold!
And now, the Instigators, presented by Seneca Resorts and Casinos. Nothing else comes close.
There's something about Eric Staal that is just too perfect of a match for what it is here. And I think he would allow Jack to be able to go and do his thing, and Eric Staal could take the young Dylan Cousins under his wing and teach him how to become a legend like Eric Staal is.
Spring pass off the draw. Staal walks in. He scores! Eric Staal ignites the crowd even more. Carolina by 2.
He is their number one center. He makes $3.25 million. And if anybody can get Eric Staal to play on this team, it's Kevin Adams.
Jason Pominville. Good read by Pickett. Here it is. Staal! He scores! Hey, what do you say? Eric Staal, 5-3, Carolina.
Really looking at our roster and over these last couple of months and having a kind of a short and medium and long-term plan and what we need to do. Obviously, identifying the center ice position and trying to strengthen ourselves up the middle is important. And so looking to be able to look around the league and to be able to target and identify a player like Eric is really important. Everybody knows the career that Eric's had. There's very few players in the league that, from what they've done on and off the ice, command the respect and have the presence that an Eric Staal does, and he fits in that small group of people. So I think it's a great thing for our locker room, great for our organization, and he's a winner. He's been there. He's been in a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. He's raised the trophy. I mean, these are really, really important experiences that he's lived. He's going to bring into our locker room that are very, very important to our team and the culture that we have.
That was Kevin Adams yesterday on his Zoom call. Instigators, WGR 550, Marty, Craig, Andrew, and they bring Eric Staal into the Sabres locker room, and we bring Elliotte Friedman onto our show, and he adds the same amount of greatness to this show that Eric Staal does to the Sabres team. Elliotte, good morning. Were you as blown away as we were yesterday, even though we predicted it?
First of all, yes, I was shocked last night. There's no question about it. I do think it's a great move for the Sabres. I do. But I got to tell you guys, you guys both know Kevin Adams. You guys have connections to the Sabres. The conspiracy theorist in me tells me it's awfully convenient that you guys were talking up Eric Staal, and hours later he became a Buffalo Sabre.
You know what, Elliotte? I'm going to stop you right there in your tracks, sir. It is exactly that. It is exactly that. It is only convenient. And I must say, Paul Hamilton called me yesterday and reminded me that he brought it up last week on the show, and I didn't have the heart to tell him that Riv and I had him on the dry erase board last November. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I don't know. This sounds like a deep state conspiracy that I have to investigate.
Elliotte, I'm not outing a source. I'm not trying to protect a source. I swear to you, I swear on my son, and I would never even dare say that in kidding, that I knew nothing. Yeah. Craig knew nothing. In fact, I must say, I have to say this, Elliotte, JJ Torito, I don't give him credit for anything because he doesn't do anything, but he said, talk about Staal. Talk about Staal today because you guys have brought him up before, and it's everyone's making deals, Elliotte. Everyone's trading. We're waiting for Kevin Adams to do something. Like I saw Kevin the day before, and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys talking about?" I go, "I don't know. We're waiting on you. We're trying to figure out what you're doing."
Well, here's my point, PD, and I'm going to say this, Elliotte. I'm going to ask you a question. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe PD and Rivs got Kevin Adams and his group of people thinking about Eric Staal.
I would like to think that, Marty. I would like to believe that.
A radio show be that influential that trades are made because they brought it up.
But I just want to make sure that everyone knows that if it doesn't work out, it's on Kevin. It's not on me. Okay, like it's not. I just want to make sure that's clear. I did not make this deal, Buffalo. I love the deal. And anyway, Elliotte, this is your segment, buddy. How you doing?
Good. I think it's a great deal for you guys. I really do. You've been looking, like, every time I come on this show, you guys are talking about who's our number 2 center and where can we find a number 2 center. And you found one. I mean, he's a heck of a player. I think what happened here, guys, is that players had to have their lists in by Monday. Or was it Tuesday? They had to have their lists in by Tuesday. And so he submitted his list, and it didn't have Buffalo on it. And to the best of my knowledge, this is kind of what happened. I heard that Eric Staal had turned down about 5 trades in the last 2 years. And they were all contenders. Boston was one. I'm not really sure about the others. He was liked it in Minnesota, and he wanted to be with his family in Minnesota. He's a real family guy. And I just think that when he was putting together his list for this year, Buffalo did not fit the profile of teams that had chased after. The Sabres.
And why would it, Elliotte? And no offense, why would it? We talked about it yesterday. Yeah. It shouldn't stand out to Stalzy.
Yeah, people might be insulted by that, but I think it's just the truth. Like, Buffalo did not fit the profile of the teams that went there. And I would bet that at some point in time, doing his due diligence, you guys all talked last night about Kevin Adams played with Eric Staal, Jeff Skinner played with Eric Staal at Fitz. I would bet that Bill Guerin knew that Kevin Adams was interested if the possibility was there. And the moment Guerin got that list and realized the possibility was there, that deal was getting worked on.
Now, Elliotte, you think that happened that quickly? So Tuesday, the list is in. They talk maybe Tuesday night, Wednesday. Okay, because it's a 1-for-1 deal. There's not a lot of complicated details to the deal. So deals happen that quickly in the National Hockey League?
They can. I think the one thing, and I was on the Guerin call last night. I didn't get a chance to hear the Kevin Adams call. I think the one thing we'd have to answer, Martin, is, when, assuming that Adams had reached out to Guerin before, had they discussed, okay, if he is available, this is what we're going to do. But even in this particular situation, I could say that if 2 guys were really committed to making it happen, as you said, it's not the most complicated deal, they could get it done pretty quick.
Okay, Elliotte, the next question is for me. What time did the deal officially happen? Do we know what time the call was made or when it started? Is it possible that a trade could be made by 11:48 a.m., starting at 11:48 and end at about 4 p.m.?
I don't know if it would be actually, yes.
I hope we got him thinking about it, though.
You did. I was like, where's he going with this one?
I hope. I mean, it would be amazing because I love that so much. I love the deal.
Elliotte, question for you. So with Bill Guerin trying to shake things up in Minnesota, trading away basically their number 1 center in Eric Staal, they bring in Nick Bjugstad. They've got a few guys that are kind of centermen, but they're not 100% centermen. Like, could you see another move with the Buffalo Sabres being made for a younger player like Casey Mittelstadt, who's from Minnesota?
Potentially. Tell me on your roster, who's untouchable, Craig?
Jack and Darlene. I'll answer for him. And Dylan Cousins. Dylan Cousins that we have Eric Staal. Just throwing that in there.
I think that's probably true. I think you guys are looking for a goalie. I do.
Wow.
Really?
Dropping the bomb here on radio.
Who? Do you know who, Elliotte?
No, I don't. But I think you're looking out there to see what's out there. I think you guys are trying to see if you can upgrade.
Matt Murray, right? Isn't that the obvious call for Matt Murray? Didn't the Sabres goalie coach him in Pitt?
Oh yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that. But but the thing is, this year, this is a good year to be looking for goalies. There's a lot of them out there, and there's starters, there's 1A guys. If you look at the 1A guys who are out there, there's Khudobin, who's probably priced himself out of Dallas. There's Cam Talbot. There's Thomas Greiss. There's New York.
Jacob Markstrom.
Well, Markstrom's a 1, right?
Okay.
Yeah, depending on
what about Ben Bishop? Is Ben Bishop now a guy that could be acquired by the Sabres?
I don't know. They love Khudobin, but Khudobin. Are you gonna if you trade Bishop, you got to go out and get someone to replace him. What Bishop's contract is, and Khudobin is 35 or almost 34. Excuse me. I don't know if Dallas is doing that, but you look at the goalies. There's so many of them available. There's the guys in trade, Matt Murray. There's the guys that are free agents. You go there's Markstrom, there's Holtby, there's Talbot, there's Greiss, although we think Leonard signed, who's going to be available now is going to be Marc-Andre Fleury. If you're looking for,
but the reason
there's the guys available.
Elliotte, I heard somewhere yesterday, because obviously I keep really a close eye on the goalie market, but a guy like Darcy Kemper in Arizona and the direction that he could be available. Is there some truth to that? And why would Arizona make Darcy Kemper available when he's had such success with that team?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think Arizona's going to cut payroll a bit, Marty. And I think also they don't have a lot of picks the next couple of years, and I think they want to get picks back. I think one of their 2 goalies will go, whether it's Kemper or it's Ranta. But Kemper's got a lot of value. His value will never be higher than it is now.
Elliotte, I want to ask you one more thing on the goalie. To me, it's interesting to hear that, because I thought there's a lot of faith in Allmark. I thought the salary cap for Allmark would be relatively cheap, and the team has been reported to, and as many other teams, but Sabres are in that conversation of a lower salary cap.
Yep.
They did that yesterday in the Staal deal. Let's not forget that by $1 million and a bit. But I don't know why the Sabres would want to go out and acquire. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm trying to make sense of it all from the standpoint of right here with what the team's trying to do. And, if you're going to have younger players in your lineup, Allmark would make sense to continue to develop him until Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And Mike Marty's the goalie expert too, but I'm just tossing that in there.
Well, I think what
the salary cap does make a huge difference right now.
Yeah, I think what you might be looking at is not necessarily going out and getting the most expensive free agent goalie you're out there, but a guy who can play potentially share the job. The thing is too is that that trade yesterday, like I said, it's a good trade, and you're right, it saves you money too. But the guy who's probably the happiest guy with it is probably Eichel. And when these stories came out, and we've talked about this for a while, about the possibility the Sabres could be a $70 million payroll team. Do you think he'd be happy with that?
Well, only because if they were really good, they'd have money to spend at the deadline to go and get some players. But
okay, but my
how it looks from the standpoint of competition, maybe not. But again, you gotta trust some of your internal talent, like Thompson and maybe Middlestad, maybe Cousins. The question in all of that with that conversation, Elliotte, that we've had is Sam Reinhart is the biggest question mark. How much do you pay him, and is he even here next year?
Yeah, I think all these are fair questions, but my point is this: look at it objectively, Andy. If you're Jack Eichel and you're hearing reports that the Sabres might have a $70 million payroll, you're probably not thrilled about that. You're probably asking a lot of questions like, okay, what does this mean? Okay, and then you go out and you make this deal yesterday, which like I said, I think it's a really good trade for you guys. You're probably a lot happier. So what that's like, I talked to Bill Zito, who's the new GM in Florida yesterday, and I said to him, I heard that you guys are going to cut payroll. He said, who told you that? That's not the mandate. I said, well, what is the mandate? He says, look, the mandate here is to make good, like they told me, act as if we just bought the team. Make decisions that are in the best interest of the franchise. And another GM told me that when he was talking to Florida, Florida made it very clear they were not just making salary dump trades. Their trade was going to have a purpose, that it was going to, either create cap room for them or a trade that made them better. So you guys go out yesterday and you make this deal for Staal. Again, smart deal. As you said, Andrew, less salary, but I think we'd all agree today you guys are a better team. You got a piece that you absolutely needed. And I look at them. So someone told me last night he thinks the Sabres are looking for some kind of goalie upgrade. Now, that doesn't mean you go and you throw money at the number one guy on the market. I think that what that says to me is that Adams is probably trying to do the same thing in goal. Is there a cost-effective option that we can make that makes us better in goal and sends a message to our players that we are trying to find ways to get better under the salary structure that we're going to use? And that's all I think he's up to.
I want to circle back with what you're saying about Jack Eichel. Now, back when I played, and Riv's probably the same thing, these conversations would never have happened. Like, there's no way the GM or the ownership or even the coach would come down and talk to your star player and say, hey, listen, we're going to stay at this hotel on the road because we can't stay at this hotel, or we're going to cut costs, so our payroll is going to be less. Now, I know the game's changed, and I know this is a different landscape, especially with the money. But before people here in Buffalo go all up in roar and say, well, what does it matter to Jack Eichel? Do you think those conversations happen around the league often with star players around all the markets, or is it just unique to a few different teams, a few teams here and there?
I think it depends on the situation. But for example, I know that when Ken Holland took over in Edmonton, he worked to make sure that he had a good relationship with Connor McDavid's people. Like, I don't know if he goes to McDavid and says to him, this is what we're doing. He might, I don't know. But I know that, the Jeff Jackson, who represents McDavid, I believe they talk quite a bit. Just to say, hey, this is what we're thinking. And, I don't necessarily think that McDavid has a say over anything, but, they do try to keep him abreast. And I think there are some situations like that around the league. I just think the thing is this, he's your franchise player. He's never made the playoffs. The fans are frustrated with that. You can imagine he's frustrated with that too. He just wants to win, right? He wants to be in a situation where he can win. I just think that, I look at this, and we've talked about the fact that Sabres might have a lower payroll. I think generally when you're a player, Marty, you don't equate that with winning. You think, oh, we're going to cut. What I think this move yesterday does is it allows Kevin Adams and the ownership of the Sabres to say, we're doing this with a purpose. We made this deal, and yes, we save money, but how can you argue against it makes us a better team? So I would say that if Eichel was at all concerned about this, you could take this to him yesterday and say, this is what we're trying to accomplish. And I think you can sell that.
Makes
Elliotte
sense.
Friedman joining the Instigators here on WGR 550 in the next day after the news broke that the Sabres acquired Eric Staal for Marcus Johansson. Marty, you were just about to say something?
No, I just said it makes sense. And I think that it is important to send the right message to your players, especially your top players. And bringing a guy like Eric Staal, there's no better message to send. Because
right.
And Elliotte, you look around rosters around the National Hockey League, if you just have a one center and everybody can keen in on that player, you're not going to be able to play as freely because the team's going to game plan against you. Probably the reason why Colorado brought a Nazem Kadri to be able to give him depth and free McKinnon a little bit. And we saw what that meant to Colorado this year. So does that mean that bringing in Eric Staal, that now teams have got to look at Eichel, Staal, and potentially even Cousins as the 3 center, and that complicates things when they play the Sabres?
Absolutely. Like right now, if you're looking at Buffalo, you're saying, okay, we're going in there every night, and we're going to have to deal with Jack Eichel and Eric Staal. That's a problem. Like I said, you guys are a better team today than you were yesterday because of this deal. And the other thing, too, is, and you guys all played at a very high level and for a very long time. And this is something I should have mentioned, too, in the previous answer. In St. Louis, like one of the things I heard was the year they won the Cup, Al McInnes and Keith Tkachuk would be in these meetings, okay? And everything they would ask is, one of the questions the two of them always made sure they asked was, how is this going to play in our room? If we do this, how is it going to play in our room? And that argument doesn't always win the day, because sometimes you just have to tell players we're doing this and that's it. But a lot of the times, as you three know, that matters. That matters. You have to ask your question. So let me ask you guys something. When that trade got out last night, you guys know how you reacted. You guys knew how your fans reacted. How do you think your players reacted?
I don't think Jack Eichel has ever played with a player like Eric Staal. Period.
I agree. I think they were probably ecstatic.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Now, I'm going to ask you, because you said you were on Bill Guerin. We don't have much time, but you were on Bill Guerin's call and you listened to it.
Yep.
I was puzzled. I'm like, how the heck did the Sabres get Eric Staal on a 1-for-1 on a player that makes more money and is not a true center? And what's the thinking on that sense from the other side in Minnesota and Bill Guerin in that way?
You know, I have to tell you, the more I'm talking about it with people, Marty, the more I'm convinced that the Wild believe their group is too comfortable. Like, they got a lot of guys there that have no trades or no moves, and they've been a kind of team that's been in the dreaded middle for a while. I think that Guerin's sending a message that things are going to be different.
Well, I don't mind him sending a message and sending us a player like Eric Staal. I think whenever he wants to send a message, my door would be open and my phone would be ready to take that call, because I was really surprised that was even when you guys put it all out there on Twitter saying it's 1-for-1 and that's as simple as that. I think that was the most surprising part of the whole thing. You always expect some salary retain or a pick or something. 1-for-1 like this, I was completely surprised.
Great stuff today, Elliotte.
I think a lot of people were surprised. Hey, my pleasure, guys. Love coming on.
Yeah, we love having you. And can you give us some inside scoop just before you go on another deal that might break, Sabres or not? By the way, what a storm you created in Montreal. I had George Larocque called me out of nowhere. He's like, "Hey man, I'm about to go on the air. Can you send me did Elliotte say that the Canadians are trading Danault?" And I was like, "George, first of all, you're calling me between 10 to noon, and you know I'm on the air because you've been on our show and sworn on you 6 times." Okay. And I said, and no, he didn't say that. I had to clarify your comments. I said, no, he basically said, and Elliotte, tell me if I'm wrong, because I didn't go back to listen, because I believe I listened to everything you say. I said, no, what he said was they would be more inclined to look at moving Danault than Domi, because who knows what Danault, because nobody knows what he's going to make. Fair? Is that right?
That's very fair.
Okay. How much trouble did you get in for that?
Too. Oh, it happened.
Did you?
It happens. No big deal. It really wasn't.
Well, I really apologize that we created that for you, but I'm not sorry because here's the thing: the radio station up there, Elliotte, that even reported that you were saying it, didn't even give us name cred, which pisses me off even more because we are the Instigators, not a radio show in Buffalo.
Yeah, you know what? Like, no, you guys did nothing wrong. You guys didn't cause me any problems. Like the thing is, like, that's just, it's kind of the way of the world, and you try to be careful. But when I went back and I listened to it, I wasn't unhappy with anything I said. You guys didn't do anything wrong. Dad, don't worry about Andrew. Seriously.
No, I said it's all your fault. Trust me. You're unfireable, Elliotte. You are unfireable. Okay? So that's just your standing. Listen, it's great having you on. But you got anything else?
I love coming on. I'm happy to do it.
Give me a deal, Elliotte. Who are you hearing? Just drop one name. Jake Virtanen.
Well,
that's your homework assignment.
I'll tell you this. Obviously, I think a lot of the action will be around Dumba. But I think Bill Guerin, that's been the case for about a year. And Guerin has said, I have a target here, and I'm not moving him unless I get the target. And that I think
I don't believe we need a Dumba, but I think we need Jake Virtanen or someone like that. And what's going on with Reinhardt? Okay, time to do some digging, Elliotte. We got to go.
All right, I'll work on it for next week.
I lectured the guys an hour ago about getting to break on time and how we go over break every day, and here we are, we're 6 minutes over. But you were fantastic today, so that's all your fault, too.
You can't beat entertainment, guys. Have a great weekend, guys. Always great to chat.
If you weren't so damn good, Elliotte, we could have got off early. See ya. Talk to you next week.